Fans, this is Brady Labor here on the soon-to-be award-winning pregame show here on the Saints Sports Network, which is powered by the Great Midwestern Digital Network. I'm Brady Labor, as I said before, and I'm joined by the head men's basketball coach at Thomas More University, Justin Ray. Coach, how's it going, man?
It's going all right, Brady. It's been a while since I've seen you, man.
I know, man, way too long. But and it's been a while since you guys have been on the floor. It's going to be one full week by the time you guys hit the floor at the CCC. Coming off a tough road loss against Ashland University, a very good team though. Talk to me about this, man. You're at the end of January now, 1st of February, and you get a week off. And we always talk about the dog days of January. You can't wait to get out of that. The February's the home stretch. And what's your approach as a coach when you got a week off in a time like that? Because there's a bunch of different ways you can do it, especially if you think you need to, lighten up the load or you need to crank it up because you need to send messages. What kind of buttons are you pushing in a situation like that where you're coming off a couple of losses at the end of January with a stretch drive ahead of you?
Yeah, I think each year is different. I think it depends on what situation you're in, what kind of team you have. This team right now, I mean, I don't think that it was very beneficial for us to just come in here and get shots up and do some dummy-o and go. Like we've got a lot of areas we need to get a lot better at. Coming off, the road trip at Walsh and Ashland, I thought, Walsh put one on us, man. They drummed us pretty good. And then I thought we competed a lot better against Ashland, but, we haven't been able to put together, 40 minutes consistently. We're pretty dang good for, about 30 minutes of each game, 25 minutes of each game, and then it just completely falls off. So trying to get through an entire practice, being locked in mentally, the effort's got to be there the entire practice. So, we've worked a lot on that and some of the, more X and O things that we're not very good at right now.
Right. It looked like, just looking at the box score against Ashland, it looked like you kind of tightened up the rotation a lot. You had, four guys play 35 plus minutes and then just kind of rotated that other spot. Talk about what's the mindset behind that, man? I mean, because obviously you guys have been struggling and you're trying to figure things out at this point.
If I could only play 3 or 4, I would. We don't deserve to have 5 out there, especially at Walsh. But they make you play 5. So, there are. Well, I don't think that we've had 5 guys consistently play well, especially this last 7 games where we've gone 2 and 5. We're averaging 11 points less than we were in the previous 7 games where we went 5 and 2. We're struggling to put the ball in the hole. We've been a below average defensive team this entire season, to be honest with you, if you just look at the numbers. So you're asking what's changed, the 5 and 2 and the 2 and 5. It's been the offensive production. And some of that has to do with being on the road. You're going to score less when you're on the road. There's no loyalty with the minutes. I don't care what you've done here in the past. If you're not producing, we got to put somebody else out there, give them a chance. And if they take advantage of it, they're going to gobble up those minutes. And if not, you go back with another guy, give him another chance, and you just keep – it's almost a carousel if you can't find that 5th guy that's really going to help you. So, and we haven't. So that's the challenge with this team right now, is trying to find 5 guys who can consistently go out there and produce.
One guy that has been, more than, been consistent at times, a freshman, though, Nathan Dudukovic. I mean, he's a wired scorer, man. He had a big offensive game for you against Ashland. Just to talk about the boost he's given you offensively in an area where you just admitted you guys have struggled.
Well, I thought he's turned the page. That Ashland game, I was waiting for a game like that where he made 6 threes in that game, shot a high percentage. He's not afraid. He's not afraid to shoot it. He's aggressive. He's getting downhill a little bit, which is opening up more around the perimeter for him. He does a great job, executing some of the plays to get him some of those good looks and banging them in. He's shooting 37% in the last 7, and he's made 22 threes in this last 7 games. That is more than the other 4 combined. So again, just struggling to shoot the basketball. And I told our guys we're lucky at Walsh and Ashland that a freshman came to play. We'd really be struggling. We wouldn't compete at all if he hadn't put it in the hole. So I'm happy with his growth. He's trying really hard defensively. I think he's done a good job continuing to get better and understanding how hard you have to play. So I expect a lot out of him, and I think he'll come ready to go.
The guy you were hoping to help out, doesn't look like it's going to happen is Ryan Paris. Broke his foot, probably at the end of December, was it? And now I guess you finally got the news that, it's not going to work out and he's going to be out for the season. Just kind of talk about him and what he's been going through, because, I mean, that's tough, man, for everybody involved.
Yeah, and it's tough because he was just outside the cusp of maybe getting a medical red shirt. So he appeared in too many games to try to do that. So it's unfortunate because it's kind of a wash for a season, but that's a blow, because that was a guy you could trust to go in there and bang in some shots. He was shooting like 43% from three when he was healthy. So he's got the broken foot. They're figuring out just let it heal or maybe some surgery. So they're trying to figure that out. But it is what it is. We'll, next man up kind of mentality, and gives somebody else an opportunity. So hopefully somebody takes advantage of it.
All right. You're about to start a stretch of 5 out of the next 7, or I guess 5 of the last 7, at home, after going on a 7 out of 9 stretch on the road. And you'll do that before your game honoring Reed Jolly for scoring his 2,000 point. And I mean, golly, it seems like that's been a month of Sundays ago, because it has been. But I mean, I guess a big stretch of that was because you guys were on the road. But you'll finally be able to acknowledge that a huge accomplishment for Reed Jolly in his career at Thomas More.
Yeah, I mean, he's been here 5 of the 6 years that I've been here. So I don't know Thomas More basketball without Reed Jolly. He's been a monster piece of our success, and he will be dearly missed when it's time for him to move on. But we get to at least honor him one more time. 2,000 points is absolutely incredible. I think he moved into second place and the all-time scoring list. He won't get the first. I think it's at 2,600 points or something like that. So I don't think he can quite get there. But second, they've been playing basketball here, since the 50s, 40s, something like that. So it's pretty impressive. So get to hand him a ball at half court and honor him, one last time.
And sandwiched between a couple of guys that got time in the NBA, right? Brian O'Connor and Rick Hughes, who I don't know if anybody is going to break that record, man, at 2,600. But and he did that in 4 years, by the way. But let's just kind of start wrapping this up, man, as you bring the Tiffin Dragons into town, and they got their tails kicked off of them, right, as you would say, on Thursday night. So they're going to come in here good and mad. You guys are looking for a win that you much need. Just kind of break down the Dragons, and what can we expect?
Yeah, they're an old team. They've got a 6-year guy. They've got a 5th-year guy out there, and then the rest of them are seniors. I think one sophomore and a junior. So they're an experienced team. They've got an elite big. In Wesley that down around the rim, that is, he could stretch it out. He's
And as we get ready for today's basketball action in the nightcap, Reed Jolly out in center court, getting congratulated with Coach Justin Ray and the rest of the Thomas More faithful for scoring his 2,000th point here at Thomas More University. Reed Jolly, Brady, a local kid, coming from Alexandria, Kentucky, just down the road, and what a 5 years he's had here at Thomas More.
Just the third Thomas More player to reach the 2,000-point club, and the other 2 guys both logged time in the NBA. Pretty impressive feat. He is now second place all time. He passed Brian O'Connor, I guess the last time I was here. Or at least around that time, but he's not going to catch Rick Hughes. He'll need an extra season to do that.
Yeah, probably another 600 points or so before he gets to the great Rick Hughes, but still a great career, and not one that's done quite yet, Brady. They still have some unfinished business.
Still unfinished business, that's for sure, and hopefully that'll be a trip to the GMAC tournament, and hopefully maybe even get a deep run there.
Thomas More currently at 7-6 in GMAC play. Tiffin at 6-4 in conference play. So both of these two teams very, very close in that, right?
Yeah.
Right now, we talked in the women's game a little. Tiffin sitting at 7th in the standings,
Yep.
and Thomas More sitting in 8th,
Well,
right on the bubble.
It's not the standings,
Sure.
right? It's the points rating system is what it's called because of the unbalanced schedule. So you can't just look at the standings, can't just look at win percentage. There's an actual metrics formula that you can find. There's a link underneath of the standings, but that's how you're going to find out whether or not you're going to make it. And right now, those are two teams that I can't hear myself in the headset, Nate. So I don't know if I'm just brutalizing my point there.
Yeah.
Okay, because I can't hear anything, which needs to get fixed since I'll have to hear you. But anyway, 6, 7, and 8 is the last two spots to even get in. So these two teams, they're not trying to position themselves for a home date. They're just trying to get into the game.
Thomas More will go over their starting lineup, and we'll have the tip-off when we return after this short break. You're tuned in to the Saints Sports Network.
Your work and your life are busy, but that shouldn't stop you from achieving more. And there's no better way than with an accelerated degree program from Thomas More University. More flexibility for students working full-time, more online class offerings, more accepted transfer credits, and more return on your investment than any other school in Kentucky. At Thomas More, our accelerated programs help you get more out of your busy life. Be more, make it more at thomasmore.edu.
Touch it again.
Right.
2 seconds. Ready for the starting lineups for both of these teams after we were able to get Brady's headset situation figured for the Tiffin Dragons, coached by Tom Church in his 6th season, sending out Morgan Taylor, Brendan Swaby, Ian Lopez, who's not wearing number 14. He's wearing number 30 today. Raven Brown and Jordan Wesley. This is a talented unit, Brady, and one that has amassed 12 wins on the season, looking for lucky number 13 today.
First of all, fire the team manager that forgot the uniform because that's why he's probably wearing number 30.
Probably.
But anyway, so Tom Church, he's a disciple of Link Darner, so you know they're going to speed it up. It's going to be try to be able to get a shot off within 5 to 8 seconds of the shot clock beginning. They don't mess around on offense. They're going to score points, score them quickly, and do it in bunches. And, Tom Church has done a really good job here at Tiffin, and he's looking to get back into the GMAC tournament.
Thomas More, coached by Justin Ray in his 6th season. They are 7-6 again in GMAC play, 12-9 overall. And Coach Ray sending out Reed Jolly, Jacob Jones, Casey George, Nathan Dudukovic, and Kyle Ross. This is a team, Brady. We're going to see a couple of former Horizon League players in the action today. Talking about Jacob Jones, a guy who can handle that speed, right? He's built for that kind of pace. Will that be a factor here today?
Well, I mean, it would be tailor-made for him. I mean, he was recruited and was going to play for Link Darner at Green Bay. But, of course, before Jacob was able to get on campus, that's when they let Coach Darner go. And, Tom Church was not on that staff because he had replaced Link Darner down at Florida Southern, when he went to Green Bay, meaning Coach Darner. So, I mean, and they were at St. Joe's together as well, Coach Darner and Coach Church. So a lot of familiarity there and a lot of success as well.
Tiffin will have the ball here to start this game. Dragons, team coming off of a quite frankly, an abysmal performance.
And here's what's funny is they're going to come out and play slow here on this first possession. But, yeah, I mean, it can't be any worse offensively than it was for them on Thursday night, scoring just 35 points.
Swaby does get the offensive rebound. They kick it out to Lopez, who drains the three.
That's what Lopez does. He is a sniper from the outside. He is there to shoot three-point shots in large volume.
30% on the year, and he'll put up a bunch. Nathan Dudukovic gives in to Reed Jolly. Back out to Jacob Jones from 3. Good answer from Jacob Jones.
Jacob Jones, that's not his forte to shoot three-point shots, but he's wide open, and that's probably the scouting report. Knocking down that first one's very important. That means they're going to have to, A, guard him, and B, it gives him confidence that he has to put one up again.
Out of the top, it's Morgan Taylor. Out of the Windy City, Chicago, Illinois. Pulls up from mid-range and misses. JJ gets the rebound.
Of course, we talked about injuries in the women's game. They lost Karis Key 8 games ago. This will be his 8th game out. He's been out for the, probably going to be out for the rest of the way. A transfer from Division I Texas A&M Commerce, where he played 3 seasons there, and they have to pick up the slack, and it looks like they've done it, except for that, that what happened for them on Thursday, which I don't know if Kobe Bryant could have played for them and they would have won that game the way they shot.
Lost by, 48 points? They only scored 35?
The margin of victory or for them defeat was more than the points they scored. That's hard to do.
I'm not generally a fan of the burn the tape idea, but that might be a candidate if there was one.
And they did that at home, by the way. Yeah. That's the other part that's so puzzling.
There's Wesley Jordan off the glass.
Boy, Jordan's a skilled big man with all kinds of great moves. Of course, he's on this level at Division II simply because he's undersized at 6'7", but a good one out of a great high school program at Lawrence Central in Indianapolis.
Here's Kyle Ross giving off to Nathan Dudukovic. Ross gives off to Jones. Saints weaving it around at the top of the key. Here's Jones from the elbow. Yes, sir.
That's what you want to see more of out of Jacob Jones. Not shooting three-pointers, but coming off the bounce, ball fake, and pulling up with a mid-range jumper.
Electrifying early offense from both teams. Neither team missing very much. Only 2 misses come from Tiffin.
And Thomas Moore's struggles have been on the offensive end of the floor. Still one of the better defensive teams in the league, but they have just struggled to score the ball.
No-look pass went through the wickets. Thomas Moore ends up coming away with it, and it'll be a reach-in foul called against Lopez. Casey George backing his man down to underneath the hoop. Lopez pleading his case, saying that George was extending the arm, but the officials went against the man in green. First foul of the night. Afternoon, whatever time. What time is it now?
It's still the afternoon.
It's still the afternoon, okay. Time can get
Plenty
away
of
from it.
daylight outside. I know you don't recognize the sun shining right now here in our area, but it has been shining, and yeah, so that still makes it technically daytime.
It's Kyle Ross giving to Jolly from 3. Jolly just off, and it's rebounded by Wesley Jordan.
Jordan leads the team in points and rebounds. Has over 1,400 career points. And he's done it all as a member of the Tiffin Dragons.
Ball that was wildly thrown off the glass. A little contact that Taylor had to go through. Here's Jones. Nice move from Jacob Jones. Just couldn't execute.
Well, I think he saw Wesley Jordan, the big, kind of honing in on him. And nice hustle play by George to track it down. Of course, Tom Church is saying it hit the sideline. Bo Queen says no, it didn't. Thomas Moore doesn't quit on the play and gets an easy bucket.
Good hustle there from Casey George, kid out of Pickerington, Ohio. Taylor. Taylor dishing back out to the corner looking for Raven Brown. The 3 is good.
Knocks it down.
Oh, man.
Downtown Brown. Always got to love when you can say that, right? He buries one out of the corner. Right now, Tiffin, a highly explosive team, averaging 72 per contest.
There's Dudukovic. Nice answer from Nathan Dudukovic.
Both teams off to a good start. I was trying to compliment Tiffin on their good start, but Thomas Moore as well. And offensively, Thomas Moore has really needed to get off the schneid here, and they've gone pretty much with a 5 to 6 person rotation where 4 of the players getting most of the minutes. And I mean like 35 and over.
Here's Jacob Jones on a dime, lays one up, and he misses. Rebound goes to Raven Brown.
Jones really hunting his shot here in the early going.
Taylor from 3. No good, a little long. Taylor, been a bit cold here to start. Can't say that about many players. He's 0 for 3. Jones gives off to Kyle Ross. And now Jolly off the pump fake, goes up from the elbow, and it's no good, but an offensive rebound from Ross. And then Dudukovic gets called for the travel.
Well, he didn't get that drill. He jumped. He went to shoot, right? First thing, don't get off the ground unless you know what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Guy closed out. He tried to get the dribble, but he landed before the ball did, and that's a travel. That's a good call by the officiating crew.
So that takes us to our first timeout of the game. 14:47 to go. Thomas Moore leads it by 4.
Time to expect more from a graduate education. And there's no better place for it than Thomas More University. More flexibility for students working full-time. More online class offerings. more networking opportunities, and more return on your investment than any other school in Kentucky. At Thomas More, we have the graduate programs that will move you and your career forward. Be more, make it more at thomasmore.edu.
Back to it here on the Saint Sports Network, proudly powered by the Great Midwest Digital Network. Nate Metz and Brady Labor with you. And Brady, Thomas More, hot shooting out of the gate, has them up by a couple.
Yeah, that's just what the doctor ordered. The problem is they haven't been able to stop Tiffin like they need to do, but at least on offense, right? That's where it's been so woeful for so long, and it's a good start. You got to hope to continue that throughout the course of the entire 40 minutes.
Yeah, Thomas More, you look at their scoring outputs. Justin Ray has mentioned that, when games start getting close to that 80 to 80 mark, he starts getting nervous. That's not the way that this team is necessarily built. He wants his team grinding in the 60s and the 50s. If you start creeping up into those 70s and higher.
But they've been struggling to get to the 50s.
So what do you want?
The 60s
there's got to be some sort of happy medium here, right?
Right. Well, you got to be able to find the consistency of your offense. He's been having troubles just running that elbow action, having guys really understand what the offense really is. And first of all, you got to get a body on Wesley Jordan, or he's going to kill you all day on the offensive glass.
Easy offensive rebound and then a putback. The big man out of Indianapolis. Here's Jolly off the window. Oh my, that's a good one.
That was high off the banking board, higher than the square. Usually the square is put on the glass as a target, an optimal target. He went up higher than that. But nice touch. That's why he was able to fall through.
Taylor guarded by Jolly. Kicks it back outside to Swaby, who misses off to the left. Jolly with a little bit of run. Gives off to George. Saints working in their half-court offense. George guarded by a much taller defender. Might be a mismatch somewhere else. Good switch defense.
See, right there, they missed one right there. That's what Coach Ray's upset about.
Here's George, got to do it himself. Ball's blocked. Nice defense from Taylor.
They missed an open guy there because the guy was trying to do the Spalding air test on the ball.
We'll see if there's 1 second left on the shot clock. It would stay with Thomas More if that's the case. Or will it be a shot clock violation? No, they will say it's a shot clock violation.
A shot clock violation.
Entering the game for the first time out of Tampa, Florida, DJ Gooden.
I did so much research trying to figure it out, whether he was any relation to the great Dwight Gooden.
Ooh, yeah.
He's from Hillsborough County, right?
That's where Doc's from, right?
That's where Doc's from, man, but just couldn't prove it, right? And honestly, I hate to admit this, but it would probably be more like a second, the generation in between, like a grandson as opposed to a son. Couldn't figure it out, but I did find this out. His younger brother, Dominic, is still at Hillsborough Community College, and he leads junior college in scoring right now.
Electrifying bloodline there, that's for sure. Here comes Taylor. Taylor all the way up and in with the left hand. He got one to go.
He's got the rec specs on, man. He's ready for battle. How about that, Morgan Taylor.
Here's Jones on the answer. A second three goes through for JJ.
Jacob Jones has come into this game, and he's like, I'll help improve the scoring.
Jacob Jones now with 8 points.
JJ just under 10 points per contest.
There's a nice move. Good defense, just way better offense. Wesley Jordan again.
I mean, you got to be able to cut that baseline off, which is what Ross didn't do. That's about the only thing he didn't do, and Jordan found a way.
Here's JJ. Oh, nice move from Jacob Jones. Can't get the roll.
Man, he rocks the baby to sleep, and then he just blows in. Just can't finish.
Lopez will miss the three. Ball caroms around and is pulled in by George. Now Jolly's got some space. Gives out to Jacob Jones. who's got some room and will throw it away.
Again, you can't get off your feet not knowing what you're going to do. I think JJ knew what he was going to do. It just wasn't a good decision because Jordan was right there, and he had help as well. He was trying to maneuver through a double team on that pass.
Taylor, way too strong. Now 1 for 5 in this game.
And now JJ's just going to beat everybody down the floor, and that's going to be a goaltend there.
Like the athleticism from Wesley Jordan, just touched the ball while it was about to go through the cylinder of the hoop, and that will take us to our under 12 media timeout. Thomas More up by a handful. It's 19-14, and you're tuned in to the Thomas More Saints Sports Network.
We're all looking for the chance to do more, explore more, create more. And that's exactly what we offer our students at Thomas More. A truly inspired education that opens a universe of opportunity. By immersing students in the very best learning environment, we give them the opportunity to become the people they were created to be, to live a fuller life, to become thinkers, innovators, conquerors of the status quo, to make it more. Thomas More University.
Returning to action here on this Saturday afternoon of GMAC basketball, where Thomas More up by 5. Jacob Jones lighting it up. He's got 10 points. Reed Jolly also helping out with 6. And then on the other side, Wesley Jordan, 6 points for him through 8 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan's got to be the one you want to stop if you're Thomas More, but he has not allowed them to do so. The big fella down low. But how about Jacob Jones with 10 of the 19 points scored by Thomas More? He's also got 3 rebounds, believe it or not. So good back and forth affair here. It's a good old-fashioned good one here early in Crestview Hills, Kentucky.
You're talking about DJ Gooden. Was Dwight Gooden on that 86 World Series team?
Certainly was.
Okay.
Well, there was the famous story that he missed the World Series parade because he couldn't get away from his demons, literally.
Oh, man.
Ended up watching it on TV. Yeah, it's a sad story, and I mean, I'm not holding back any of the truth.
Sure.
Because
oh, yeah.
so many people can go watch
that
it.
whole Mets team.
He's not hid from that, but yeah, man, I mean, that was a group that had a lot of fantastic characters with a lot of off-the-field issues, but they figured it out as far as that one magical season in '86. Got a little help, too, from the baseball gods, and Bill Buckner having one go through his legs.
Sad that legacy of Buckner, who was a decent player.
He's a great player.
All comes up to
not a Hall of Fame player, but a very, very, very good player.
Quality first baseman, yeah.
Just shouldn't have been out there.
So DJ Gooden goes to the line. And now think about it. That's Dykstra, Strawberry. That was
think about some of those guys on that team and the destructive paths they've made. Yeah. Darryl Strawberry's bounced back. I guess you could say Wally Backman has. He's kind of gotten in his own way. But, you know, I mean, that's a guy that should be a big league manager, but isn't because of some of his issues. But, yeah, I mean, that's a ton of guys. Keith Hernandez, you know, well admitted some of his struggles.
Oh, yeah.
Ron Darling was on that team. He's done good for himself.
He's on their TV crew, right?
Well, that and for MLB Network and TBS. Of course, he is an Ivy Leaguer, so that helps his case.
Carson Brown has checked in.
It's real easy, Nate. Just say no to drugs, man. Of course, that was a different time.
I get that. Those 80s and 90s. Not easy to do when you have all the money in the world, I'm sure. Here comes Jolly getting hacked. He'll go to the free throw line. Jolly just wobbles his way back and will go to the charity stripe. Carson Brown checked in for the Saints at that last break. Also getting our first look at Jacob Kleiman. Get out of Botkins, Ohio.
Yeah, he checked in during that timeout. The other guy on that 86 team was a younger guy on the team, was Kevin Mitchell. Played a couple years for the Cincinnati Reds.
That's
I mean, that team was loaded, man.
Oh, yeah. Here's Jolly. That free throw's good. So Thomas More back up by 5.
The other guy was Ray Knight, who had ties to the Cincinnati Reds as well.
And then those Reds got it done 4 years later. We're still waiting on another one, but who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Maybe I'll see one in my time. Here comes Gooden. Over to Taylor. 10 seconds to shoot. And he fades away. Wow, looked wild. Oh, and an unfriendly roll.
Oh, my, little heartbreak hotel there.
Carson Brown. And now Jolly. It's just playing a little pitch and catch at the top.
Carson Brown in the game, setting that screen there.
10 seconds to shoot, 10 to go in the first half. Been a fun and competitive one so far. Jolly trying to do it all. 3 seconds to shoot, extra pass, Brown at the gun, yeah!
Oh my goodness, George could have heaved that one up in desperation, but he had the presence of mind to see Brown streaking to the basket, and Brown was smart enough also to get it out of his hands quickly.
Now we're getting a look at Gooden from mid-range. A little shy. And it's pulled in by Wyatt Veith. Veith in the corner. Looks off the three. Somehow gets it back out to Jolly. Saints going to go deep in the shot clock yet again. Here's George amongst the trees. Back out to Veith for three. Too long. And it's pulled in by Brown. And a foul going to be called. It's too bad because Dudukovic was going to bomb one
that
from
was
three.
A needless foul too, but it turns out to be a good one for Tiffin because it prevents Thomas More from making a three-point shot there.
That's Raven Brown, 6'5", senior out of Colorado Springs. Gets called with the fortunate infraction. Dudukovic will head to the bench. Jacob Jones back in after a quick blow. Here's Jolly. Oh, a little shake shimmy and just couldn't get it. Tough luck there for Reed Jolly. As now Wesley is back in. Wesley Jordan is back in. Taylor just spinning his way, relentlessly going to the hole.
So this is a guy's got a wide open three. He sights the ball fake. He doesn't have a guy within 5 feet of him, and then challenges his defender and somehow puts it up and in.
Averages 14 points a game. Taylor's currently got 4.
Team's leading assist man as well, at just under 4 per contest. Played 2 years at Incarnate Word in the Southland Conference.
That's a Texas team?
That is in Texas, my friend. Went to Trinity Valley for a year as well before ending up here in Tiffin, Ohio.
That was a pretty move by Brandon Swaby, pulling up, just not able to execute the 10-footer. Here's George, going to be called for the offensive foul. Now, Coach Tom Church has been in the ear of the official.
Well, no, that's actually on the moving screen. It was on the screen that Brown said, just wasn't set. I mean, you could have got either one of them.
You're probably
but
right.
They went with the moving screen instead of the little chicken wing there for Casey George.
It's the second foul on Thomas More in this half, and that will send us to our 8-minute timeout. Here in the first half, it's 23-18 Saints on the Saints Sports Network.
Thomas More University offers the highest return on investment of any four-year institution in Kentucky. Who knew the best choice was so close to home? Make it more. Apply today at thomasmore.edu.
Go to another. Still by 5 at this next break. Saints right now gone a little cold after getting off to a hot start, shooting 1 of their last 5, and on the other side, Tiffin, they've only made 1 of their last 6, so a tepid beginning, now slowing the pace down a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit in the deep freeze there for both offensive teams right now, but Thomas More with a 5-point lead here, and they need to be able to extend that for sure. And they're going to try to do it with their defense as they're going to put a 2-2-1 press on. As Tiffin will have to go to length of the floor here coming out of the timeout.
Lopez is back into the game for Tiffin. Also getting a look to see John Muhammad into the game. He's on the far side of your screen. He'll get the ball now.
Muhammad doesn't play all that much, averaging just 6 minutes per contest, so interesting choice to have him out there. But with Kariuski out for the rest of the way, it looks like they have to find somebody to fill up his minutes.
Good job by Lopez to get the offensive board, and that three just way off from Raven Brown.
Talk about slicing on your golf tee.
Oh,
I'd like to slice that shot there.
Yeah, I have not.
Because I can do neither, right?
I was going to say, I'm
going to 30 hop it onto the green.
Here comes Jolly. Back out to Veith. 10 to shoot for Thomas More. Good defense for Tiffin. Jolly trying to spoil it. Here's Jones from the free throw line. Just a bit short, and it's pulled in by Wesley Jordan. Quickly moving it down the floor, it's Muhammad. Back out now to Brown. Just the athleticism of this Tiffin team. Impressive to see in person. Raven Brown from the elbow. Oh, whoa, goes all the way through.
They went all the way around the bowl and flushed through. Or as you would say, a victory lap.
Tiffin ends up cutting the deficit to just 3. One-shot game. It's been pretty close, basically, from the word go, Brady. If someone just tuned in right now, you haven't missed a ton. No team has made them this big run or another. It's been a pretty fun one, a pretty even one.
It's been entertaining so far if you've been a fan. And look at that. Jolly gets the and one as Brown gets beat and then fouls him from behind.
Jolly will head to the line for one. Reed on the air, a 61% free throw shooter. That's down. His career has been, with him sitting around that 70, 80%.
Shooting over 50% from the floor, though.
He hits the free throw.
He was last year's Mid-South Conference Player of the Year. Also was an All-American at one point in his career as well.
Here's Taylor.
Very decorated career for Reed Jolly.
Ooh, Taylor. Not quite enough to throw it down, but did just the same. Ends up laying it off the window and going through.
Veith kind of got there, but didn't do anything else. Got to be able to stop him, man. First of all, you can either take a charge or you should wall up and try to block the shot. Veith just got there and said, well, I did my part, man. You got to do a little bit more than that on the defensive end.
3 from Veith, so he answers back, gave up the 2 on one end.
That's right.
Hits a 3 on the other.
Right. He says, I got the offensive part down. And then that was some sort of warning there.
It may have been for...
I don't know if they got the gesture to the crowd for Veith or if it was the Tiffin bench for maybe chirping about it. I don't know. Of course, that wasn't announced to the crowd.
So we'll have to wait and see maybe at halftime what happened. About 5 minutes to go here in half number 1. Here's Lopez. Lopez, a step back 3. Oh, way off.
Well, that's a much better job on the defensive end for Veith.
Getting some boo birds out here. Seems like the Thomas More, maybe the football team, they're here defending their boy Wyatt Veith. Not sure. Seems like they're getting after it a little bit against the Tiffin Dragons.
Yeah, you don't have as much of the vocal visiting team crowd out of Tiffin on the men's side because they don't have any local players like their women's side did.
Duke just misses that 3. Now here comes Taylor. Taylor just, again, relentless. Doesn't matter how many times he's going to miss, he's going to get his.
Well, and he did a really good job of slowing down so that he could keep Jacob Jones on his hip, but just behind him. He could have easily blown by him, but then he puts Jones in a position to be able to block the shot. Instead, he kept him on his hip and made sure he couldn't do nothing but take the ride.
Here comes Muhammad looking to answer, and a blocking foul called on Reed Jolly.
Yeah, he just wasn't set. He had the right idea, but just didn't get to the spot fast enough, and Jeremy Kendall gets him for the blocking foul.
Yeah, the fans won't be too happy about that. But
well, they never are.
You, of course, but yeah, it's kind of a sliding motion Reed did. You got to make sure that you're set at least for a split second so the official can see. Coach Ray going to have a conversation with our officials. I feel like I've seen this before.
Oh, you definitely have.
So we'll see Muhammad go to the free throw line. We're on the year. He's a 75% free throw shooter. Again, limited sample size. And his first one goes in. If you missed the women's game, we saw some awesome free throw shooting from Pistol Brinson, who was a 45% free throw shooter on the year, so it seems like she changed everything and started shooting from darn near the elbow, and she was 5 for 5 today. So
I mean, whatever works, right?
Whatever works. Whatever works.
I don't know how recently she changed.
Or
went
even
to
she
that
did
approach.
change. I don't know. Maybe she's always been doing
always
that.
been that way. Not sure, but holy cow.
Thomas More, after the 2 free throws, fell.
This guy in the Horizon League, he played for Green Bay. He dribbled through his legs as part of his routine
hey,
to put up a free throw, and he's very good at it.
Jacob Jones will give off to Kyle Ross. And Ross tries to get it to George. Ross begging for a holding call.
George just didn't really cut through that screen very sharp. He just kind of went through the motions. Ross put it where it needed to go, and George just wasn't there for it.
Game of inches. Here comes Muhammad.
Well, it's a game of effort as well.
That too. Now Jordan versus Ross. Nice spin move. Wesley Jordan, too quick.
But he's just big and strong, is he not? 6'7". He's listed at 195. I don't know, man. I think I might have gotten that wrong on my board. It says it on their list, but that might have been when he was a freshman 5 years ago.
He certainly seems like he's put a little bit of time in the weight room.
He's put some quality strength on, that's for sure.
Under 4 in half number 1.
Look at Coach Church getting down in a stance as the 6th defender.
Here's Ross, who misses the 3.
Ross might have landed on Wesley Jordan's foot, which is technically a cylinder foul against the defense. You got to give the offensive player room to land on his jump shot, and then he goes and misses there from the outside.
That's a player safety concern. You know what I mean? You can't have players coming down awkwardly on.
Well, and it's also an offensive freedom of movement concern more than anything. But yeah, I mean, you can use player safety as a reason, but the real reason is fans want to see more points, and the NCAA is trying to make that happen by instituting rules that harbor the defense. Or should I say hinder the defense? Oh, there you go.
Beautiful.
That's what happens when you cut strong to the hole.
Casey George with the finish, but a dime from Jacob Jones.
Big time cut and a nice pass there on the feed for Jones, or by Jones for George.
Swaby gives it off to Lopez. And the ball is going to be kicked by Casey George. And that will take us to our under 4 media timeout. Thomas More still up by 5, 33-28. Brady Labor's going to be down, I believe, on the floor, getting ready for an interview with Coach Justin Ray at halftime. You better not miss it. This is the Saints Sports Network.
Pray with great love. They play with great passion today. Let it rip, let it rip, let it rip. And do it for one another. Together, 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 together.
To the action here on the Saints Sports Network. Nate Metz with you up here in the booth, all by my lonesome. Well, not quite. We got producer Santiago with us here today, doing a great job running the commercials and making sure everything is running smoothly on the broadcast. And Brady Labor, who has fled the booth, he is heading down to the sideline where he will then be able to have an interview with Coach Justin Ray at the end of this half, which is coming soon. 2 minutes and 34 seconds to go. This 5-point game, really anyone's contest. Just the way we like it here in the GMAC. No days off, and certainly not for these two teams, both of which continuing to try to bolster themselves in that conference tournament picture as Morgan Taylor buries another 2-pointer. So he's got 8 points on 10 shots. Casey George right away, can't get it. Oh, I thought he had the angle. Good defense there from Tiffin to clear the rebound. Now with a little bit of run is Morgan Taylor. Taylor, he's feeling it. Working to the baseline and kicking out to Muhammad. And now Taylor defended by Wyatt Veith. And Taylor, the feathery touch, a little too feathery, goes off of Veith and out of bounds. And Brady, another chance coming for Tiffin.
Hustled to the ball, kind of is almost like he wanted it a little bit more. And he was able to get a hand on it, but not until a Thomas More player touched it. And now Tiffin gets an extra possession out of the deal.
Here's Jordan. Jordan just throwing it up. Good defense from Kyle Ross. Not letting him get anything easy down there. Jordan's got 8 points on 8 shots, also 3 rebounds in his 16 minutes of play. Dudukovic off the screen. Doesn't go. Dudukovic this time will pull up, and he buries it.
Well, that's the one thing about the freshman out of Westchester, Ohio, is that he has been a walking bucket for this team. And he just scores right there, and that's going to force a timeout by Tiffin.
So Tiffin wanting to keep things close. It's a 30-second timeout, so we'll stay here.
Said use or lose timeout. You might as well burn it up. Usually you want to wait for your last possession, but it's also a great way for them in that situation to kind of stop any kind of momentum Thomas More had there.
Get ready for this halftime break. I want to tell everyone what went down earlier today. Thomas More's women's team ends up getting a 17-point win over the Tiffin Dragons, 82-65. Tell you what, Brady, Coach Hands has those women going in the right direction as far as possibly hosting a game.
I mean, he's done this once or twice, right?
Once or twice.
And he's made no secret that the conference tournament is their NCAA tournament, yes, right? Yeah, so therefore, that's where he's positioning himself, and that's what you do, man. You have yourself a good record in the conference portion of your schedule in order to get yourself a good seed, which is top 4. You host a game, and then it's 3 days in March, right? So that's kind of the way he's figuring it out here. And right now he's got his team playing very well, but still a lot of basketball left to be played. It's foolish to say that they're peaking right now because they got a couple of key parts missing due to injury. But if they can get both Rachel Martin and Riley Leonard back and in proper playing shape in time for March, let the chips fall where they may.
So Nathan Dudukovic, after picking up his second foul, and we love to see it, Taylor bounces it off the posterior of Kyle Ross and takes it right up and in.
I've never understood why you turn your back to the inbounder because all that does is set that up. But, I mean, that's a coaching philosophy a lot of times,
sure,
whether you face guard the person inbounding the ball or not. And that time it burned the Saints.
I've seen it happen multiple times, I think this year.
It's nothing new, but, like you said, it just is what it is, and I'm sure, coaches have their reasoning for doing that as well, and then sometimes a player just, goes rogue and does what he wants, right? You never know.
Here's Jordan. Back out to Taylor from 3. No good. Wyatt Veith pulls it in. Saints have 15 seconds, now 10 seconds to put up this final shot. Here's Jolly. Jolly guarded very tightly. 3 seconds left. Jolly, like a freight train, runs through defenders. And at the end of the half, it's 38-32.
Just bullied his way in, didn't he?
What a half indeed. High scoring for both of these two teams. And we will send it down to Brady Labor, who's going to have Coach Justin Ray here shortly.
It's all about the positioning.
That's right. Got to find him. There he is right now. Brady, take it away.
Coach, what was your assessment on how your team played in that first half?
We can just put together some stops. I mean, we're scoring the ball. Everything they've done, we've told them they're going to do. So it's a matter of going out there and doing it.
Other than that, what do you guys got to do to improve in the second half and get a win here tonight?
Score more points than them.
Easy enough, Coach. Get her done. Nate, back to you, man.
Thanks, Brady, and thank you to everyone for tuning in here to this first half of basketball in the second game of the day. Thomas Moore's women got it done by 17. The men lead by 6 at the break. Brady and I will be back here after the halftime intermission here in about 14 minutes. So you better not go away. Come on back. We've also, I believe, got some dance team stuff going on at halftime. So tune into that. And then we'll be back here for more GMAC basketball on the Saint Sports Network after this. Ready for the second half of basketball from Crestview Hills, Kentucky, and the lovely Connor Convocation Center. It's the Thomas More Saints Sports Network, and the Thomas More Saints lead it by 6 over the Tiffin Dragons. And Brady, Thomas More did not come out of that locker room until like the 11th hour. So that was a long talking to there during that break. See if they can continue to lead here in the second stanza.
Got to get stops. Got to score more points. It's that simple. And, I mean, it really is.
Yeah, it is.
But, I mean, that's a guy that's starting to run out of answers, to be honest with you, with a team that has really struggled here of late.
Ball's going to be knocked away. Tiffin ends up snagging it. It's Swaby who'll give back to Taylor.
I mean, you're trying to pass through a double team, right? And good high hands by Tiffin. Credit them. Just got to be a little smarter with the ball than that.
Swaby will give off to Lopez. Lopez negotiates and lays up a floater. And then
nobody blocks him out, right? He's one of the top rebounders in the league, and you just let him do what he wants? Man, that's not a good start.
Not at all. Lopez just an open lane right to the hole.
You didn't guard him to begin with, and then you didn't block him out.
Here's Dudukovic answering with the left hand.
Great job there by Dudukovic. Everybody thinks he's an outside shooter, right? Which he is. But, man, he's a wired scorer. He can do it on all 3 levels, and he shows it right there.
Lopez will handle it outside. Saints still maintaining their 6-point lead. 18 minutes to the good. Taylor leads not all scorers. He leads at least the Dragons with 12. Reed Jolly's got 13. Here comes Jordan. Wesley Jordan can't get it to fall. Foul going to be called against, I'm guessing, Kyle Ross.
Yeah, Thomas More in the first half got 25 points out of 2 players. 25 of the 38 points came from either Reed Jolly or Jacob Jones. Got to hope to find other options. I mean, Kyle Ross played 60 minutes and attempted 1 shot. 6 points for Dudukovic. 3 of them were late in the half.
Yeah, this Thomas More team just a little too top heavy, I would argue. Still shooting 55%.
I mean, you're saying all this with a 5-point lead, too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so
that
but I mean, these are all indicatives of bigger problems.
See what the Saints can do on offense after giving up a couple of free throws on the other side. Jones will give off to Jolly. Jolly, the spin move, we've seen him do it his whole career.
Nice work there by Jolly. Gets the defender in the spin cycle, and then just with the fall-away jumper there from about 12 feet out. Excellent job.
Out of the outside. It's going to be Jordan. He had a lane. He took it, and he scores.
Well, nobody got in front. A little late getting to the help there was the Thomas More defense. And again, it's about getting stops on that end.
Kyle Ross. Brady mentioned only 1 shot so far. Now Jacob Jones. 10 to shoot. Feeding into Jolly. Jolly takes a look at the timer. Back out to Jacob Jones. 3 seconds. The long 2 doesn't go. And a foul going to be called. That's against Taylor. That'll bail Thomas More out.
Certainly will. And, you know, Jordan ended up out on the perimeter guarding Jones. Wasn't sure if that was a switch or if that's a planned line of attack here in this adjustment here in the second half. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Pretty sure that was just a switch because now Jordan's back on Ross where he belongs.
Here's Jacob Jones. Back to Reed Jolly. Jolly forcing it back out to George. George doing everything he can and just wills that ball through.
Great job there. Just gets to his spot and then stays in the air a little extra second with a floater in the short corner.
Taylor considering his options. And he'll kick back outside.
Jordan had set a screen for him, and Morgan Taylor rejected it. Now on the other end, how about Swaby with a finger roll off the spin move?
Swaby averaging 8 points on the year, or on the per game on the year. He's got his first basket of the game. Swaby, a guy who kind of does everything else, plays good defense, able to facilitate the basketball. Contributed there on the scoring side. Here's George. Back out to Ross. Ross from the top. No good. Jolly tries to push it back out to him, but Jordan was there. Jordan going to be fouled before the shot. We'll see. Will he have free throws? It's on Kyle Ross. And that will send him to the free throw line. So they're going to say that was
Jolly batted that out to the backcourt thinking Ross was going to be there, but Ross, being at the top of the key, started to already go back to be the defender on any potential transition that Tiffin would go in. And, well, it's good thing he was there because Jordan ended up getting that back tap and taking it right at Ross. Ross commits the foul.
So the lead for Thomas More has dwindled down to 3, possibly 2 if Jordan can knock this one in. He's perfect from the line. He'll continue to be 44-42. Carson Brown now in for Thomas More. There's Casey George giving off to Veith. A little pitch and catch between the two juniors, and then George comes up way short.
That's a bit of a heat check there.
And it was. And that will take us to our under 16 media timeout here in this second half. It's just a 2-point game now. Tiffin doing good work out of this break. We're back to it here in 30 seconds. Next on the Saints Sports.
We're all looking for the chance to do more, explore more, create more. And that's exactly what we offer our students at Thomas More. A truly inspired education that opens a universe of opportunity. By immersing students in the very best learning environment, we give them the opportunity to become the people they were created to be, to live a fuller life, to become thinkers, innovators, conquerors of the status quo, to make it more. Thomas More University.
Well, the Saints a little sluggish after that halftime break, and Brady, their lead, is now kind of whittling away. They still got plenty of time to rebuild it, but they are not doing what Coach Justin Ray said, right? Score more points than the other team.
Well, they're not getting stops either, which is what he told me. So really, it's been a tough start to the second half for Thomas More. And right now, Tiffin is just chopping wood and being able to put themselves in a position to take over here. Thomas Moore's got to find a way here. Can't drop another game at home.
Got to credit Tiffin. Looking at the stat sheet, they're trailing by 2, but Brady, they've only turned the ball over 2 times this entire game. Now, they also only have 3 assists, so they're not passing the ball around a ton, but still, you look at Thomas More on the other side, only 2 points off of those turnovers, 8.
Yeah, a lot of isolation and offensive rebounds as well in order to generate their points. Points in the paint, really not that big of a difference for either team. So, yeah, I mean, Thomas Moore's just got to figure out a way here to get off the schneid here.
Here's Lopez. Checking in will be Raven Brown. Feed to Jordan, easy money.
He just got behind his defender, and the help was slow to get there. Tiffin right now ties the score here, and Wesley Jordan has been all that here so far for Tiffin here in this second half especially.
Here's Jolly. Jolly going to be called for the offensive foul.
Well, and he was baited into that by the defender. Good job there by Swaby. He knew it was happening, and Jolly just measured him up and dipped that shoulder right in front of the official. I don't know what else you can do.
Swaby doing a good job of initiating just a little contact, some good tough Mid-South
into it.
GMAC defense. Or Mid-South defense before.
He just baited him into it, man. He takes the contact the one time, and then the second time is when Jolly decides to play a little bully ball, and he played right into Swaby's hands.
DJ Gooden is back in for Tiffin as well, as they're trying to take a lead. Tiffin's last lead was 24 seconds into the ball game, and Wyatt Veith gets called for a block.
And Justin Ray is saying that that's exactly the same thing that happened on the other end, and he is beside himself down there. He had to walk away down the end of the bench to get away from the official who made the call.
Still no basket. It was a foul on the floor. As Jones will try to defend Jordan. And now Taylor. Over to Lopez for the lead.
That's away from the ball.
It is. That foul's going to be called against Tiffin.
It was against Wesley Jordan. He and Carson Brown were tangled up away from the ball.
And Jordan going to have to make an exit, coming back in for Tiffin.
That's only his first foul, but
second foul against him, and Plyman now comes in.
Got 2 on him. The board said 1. Maybe they hadn't added it onto the board.
Oh, it's possible I also could have been wrong. Hold on.
Oh, no way, Nate. I find that hard to believe.
I know, right? Here comes Dudukovic. And he throws it away. Here comes Taylor. He's got numbers. Taylor will take it himself. Can't go. Oh, and Wyatt Veith hits the deck hard. Foul going to be called against... it's going to be against Tiffin.
He landed elbow first, did Wyatt Veith. Now, what's the call here?
Foul's going to be against Gooden.
I think they're saying that Gooden must have shoved Veith when he was in the air. And right now, it's starting to get physical here on both sides.
Maybe that'll wake Thomas More up a little bit. Possible. We'll see. Just about how you respond. Here comes Jacob Jones. He'll go right up and can't go. Gets the offensive rebound. Out to Jolly. Now over to Jacob Jones. He wants it bad, and he misses the 3.
Little two-man game between JJ and Jolly.
Now a 3 coming from Plyman. Too long. Rebound. Ripped down by Swaby, and a foul. Oh, no, a travel going to be called. Swaby took a step.
Wow, that's a tough call for Tiffin. Thomas More will take it. They need any break they can have right now.
So a timeout going to be called on the floor. And so the two teams will head to the benches, but our scoring
table's saying no. I don't know what the...
I think they were thinking maybe it was a media timeout. Did someone call a timeout? No timeout. All right. So another... Well, we got Rick Myers down there able to figure it out for everyone.
Well, they all had his back as every one of them was waving it off.
I know, right? Yeah. So Thomas More will continue to play. No timeout. We read Jolly giving off.
I just want to know who thought there was a timeout. Somebody would have had to call it, right?
That's what I would think, yeah.
We're not under 12.
Blew the whistle and pointed.
We're not under 12.
Oh, Carson Brown, wonderfully done. A great finish and a good feed from Reed Jolly.
A freshman out of Elder High School. Boy, the Panthers took one on the chin last night. They scored a collected 1 fourth-quarter point in their loss to Moeller. That's GCL South tough is what they tell you.
That it is.
28 points in a whole game, I would say, is not very good.
Swaby comes up weak against Reed Jolly. Now Thomas More retaking the lead. So still no lead for Tiffin since their first possession of the ball game. Here's Jones, just couldn't get the rhythm.
Boy, that's a tough one there. Great take, little acrobatic action. Did everything there but finish.
Taylor high off the backboard, no good. And a foul going to be called against Taylor, going too hard for that rebound and making contact with Carson Brown.
Came up over the back on Brown, or actually more to his side.
And they got to get Wesley Jordan back in there. Plyman will exit.
Yeah, he is definitely the steadying force on the boards for this Tiffin team. Averaging nearly 7 per game.
He's over halfway to it in this one.
Of course, Josh Rivers, who's missed the last 8 games, their second leading rebounder at 5 per contest, but he's not going to be coming in anytime soon.
Jolly trying to point out his cut to Brown. Dudukovic into Jolly. Guarded by Swaby again. It's a good battle between those two. 3 seconds to shoot. Jacob Jones gets it out to Veith. Not in time. Veith not able to pull the trigger before the shot
wasn't
clock.
able to gather quickly enough. Almost like he caught it too deep into his hands or into his body.
Lopez will check out and head to the bench. Back in for Tiffin. You can see Raven Brown. Jacob Jones will exit and go to the bench for Thomas More. Casey George back in. Here comes Jordan. Jordan going to be fouled and one.
Well, Brown had two hands on him. He's got a wall up. That's a freshman mistake. And Jordan just took advantage of him there.
And so with that, now officially we have a media timeout. 11:51 to go. It's all tied up. Jordan going to try to give Tiffin their first lead since the 1936 mark in the first half when we come back on the Saints Sports Network. Returning to action, 11:51 left. We want to thank our great sponsors here at Thomas More University, especially St. Elizabeth Healthcare. And you just heard from Barleycorns. Get over here. Barleycorns, a great place if you're in town or really anywhere in northern Kentucky to watch a great basketball game. You have some solid dock-style wings, drink a couple of cold ones, whatever you want. Great locations.
My mom alerted me she wants to make a trip to Barleycorns for the French onion soup.
I have had that. That is a great French onion soup as well.
She's craving it, so it looks like I'm going to have to make a trip during the day. I usually like going there for their late night happy hour. But I'll make the adjustment.
Got to do it for Mom, right?
Got to do it for Mom. It's only a mile from the house.
With that, we will
at least
see
the one in Lakeside Park is the one that's a mile from my
multiple
house. Which is the closest
of
one here to Thomas More University, pretty much a Thomas More University hangout for the most part.
For sure.
But I'm still a fan of the Brew House down in Wilder. That's my favorite location now.
And their newest one.
I grew up around the one down there in Cold Spring, too.
That was the first Barleycorns I ever went to, I want to say.
It used to be an old lumber yard. They converted that into Barleycorns many years ago.
Here's Dudukovic, got the lead yet again. A Duke bomb from three.
Man, that's your sniper right there. That's the guy. He's got to get open, and they got a great screening action for him for a catch-and-shoot three, and he does the rest.
Here comes Taylor, barking out orders, telling Swaby to get on the move.
Yeah, that was a great call out of a timeout there drawn up by head coach Justin Ray. And then on the other end, Jordan got robbed of an and one opportunity. Instead, he'll have to earn them at the free throw line.
Jordan missed the free throw out of the break, so again, no lead yet for Tiffin.
Yeah, they've been right there on the cusp.
Brady, we call that in the horse racing world, all right? When you have a horse that gets up right to the leader and then doesn't want to go, call that a horse that just hangs, right? That just gets right there to the lead but can't quite, put him away or get to the lead.
Well,
Tiffin's been doing that for a little bit, but they're still knocking on the door with plenty of time. They're in a perfect position still to pounce and win.
You open this Pandora's box.
That's
what
fine.
happens when the horse doesn't come out of the gate?
My friends lose all their money. And I get many angry texts about that.
So the door opens and the horse does nothing.
The lights got too bright for poor Scatley, but she'll be back. She'll be back here,
all right,
hopefully.
Just making sure.
Here comes George. Giving off to Jolly, and now Kyle Ross.
I just want to know what you do as a jockey when that happens. You can only smack the horse so many times,
exactly.
right?
If she refuses, she
At that
refuses.
point, that's abuse. A lot of people
Here's
would
George.
say that it is abuse to begin with, but that's, a philosophical difference.
Here comes George. Yeah, let's see a lot in that sport. Going to that's going to be a travel probably.
No,
George.
that's a foul. That's a
wow.
foul on Taylor. Taylor, again, got his hands down and pretty much wrapped around Veith. He should have just walled up there. It's a good chance for a play on.
See, Gooden check out. Lopez back in. But to your point, Brady, about the whole whip thing, a lot of states are going to a limiting whip rule in horse racing or not even using it at all. Here's Kyle Ross right to the hole.
Nice job off of screening action on the inbounds underneath play there, and a good job by Georgia finding him wide open.
Here comes Taylor. Morgan Taylor, 12 points on 15 shots. Will he have 16? You bet. That one goes through.
Nice job there by Morgan Taylor. He's sporting the rec specs. Gotta like the look. He's even got the string around there to keep him tight on his head. Loving it. I might have to sport that look if my eyesight gets any worse for you there, Nate, just so that you know. A little heads up there.
Say we'll start loading up on carrots for you. Here comes Jolly after the offensive board.
Point, Chief.
Oh, it's the point of no return.
It ain't about the carrots. It's about getting old.
Here comes Casey George. Well, let's hope that happens later rather than sooner, at least.
Glad to be old enough to have those kind of problems. I've lived this long. Oh, my. 2 misses from point blank. All obviously difficult tries, though.
3 missed, and, oh, man, Dragons on the floor.
Well, Swaby ran into his own guy, Brown, who's slow to get up, and that creates numbers on the other end. And Ross took a shot to the face down there.
Dudukovic ends up scoring for Thomas More, and then Casey George ends up fouling on the reach-in, getting a little too aggressive, some 30 feet from the basket against Michael Taylor, or Morgan Taylor.
So that will send Tiffin to the free throw line as they'll begin the parade in the bonus situation here.
We've got a lot of time left, so
That's
potentially
why
a lot of free throws coming.
We would, the National High School Federation went to it, and now they're going to go to the monitor. I guess it was because of Kyle Ross taking that shot to the head. I don't know if the referees even saw that it happened, but they seen that he's got an issue where he was hit in the face. The residual effects, so they're going to, anything above the shoulders is reviewable, but that was quick. That was quicker than quick. Maybe it was something else.
Props to Cole Carley. And
well, did it freeze up on him?
Dylan down there, hopefully not.
Is this a reset? What are we doing here? They're still working on it.
So as the officials discuss.
Well, that didn't take long.
Did not.
They looked one frame of that and said, move it on. Keep it moving.
And we'll see Taylor go to the line where he is a 76% free throw shooter on the year. This is his first free throw attempt.
But, as I was getting ready to say, the National High School Federation nationwide said that all 50 states were going to go to the reset of the fouls after every quarter. Men's college basketball has become the National League when it comes to refusing to move on with everybody else.
That's right.
They still do 2 halves, and they still don't reset fouls.
No DH coming our way anytime soon.
It took a worldwide pandemic for the DH to become a thing in the National League. Please don't let that be the case in men's college basketball.
We can plead. You've been pretty pleased with I know the DH rule actually, for the Reds roster, it kind of plays into the Reds' favor, I know.
Well, you build your roster around it,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how that works.
The Cubs won a World Series basically with a DH roster without the DH even being in the picture back in 16.
But you have to, put guys in and out.
Yeah, that's right. 1 second to shoot. George got it off. Came up a little short, and Wyatt Veith gets it back. An offensive rebound.
But to answer your question, the reset of the foul is a no-brainer. It's done on every level.
So why not
internationally and domestically.
Oh, Ross off the feed from Dudukovic.
Great job there to Dudukovic. Who says he can't find the open guy? And Ross does a great job of slashing the basket, and that's going to force Tiffin to call a timeout here. They don't want this to get out of hand. A 6-point lead in a game like this could be insurmountable.
Tom Church immediately screams at his team, and we will scream off to a break here on the Thomas More Saints Sports Network. Saints back up by 6. Brady, this is where they were at the beginning of the half. It got very, very tight for a while. The Dragons were knocking on the door. They tied it up a couple times, but Thomas More has been able to just somehow find that extra gear to keep them a shot or two ahead of Tiffin.
Well, Tiffin uses a timeout to kind of get saved by the end of the round, to use a boxing terminology, but Tom Church knows what he's doing, a great coach. Of course, he's got GMAC background, right? Played at Ashland University back in the day. Of course, they were in the GLIAC at the time, so we're kind of stretching a little bit, but also had a great career as a coach as well. Coached at St. Joe's. He unfortunately was the coach when the school closed back in 2017, but he took over when Link Turner went to Florida Southern to be the head coach there. And then was at IU Kokomo for a period of time as well, before becoming the head coach at Tiffin, where he's done a phenomenal job here in resurrecting their program.
Yeah, Kokomo, a solid NAIA program. Former conference rival of my old alma mater, Berea College, back in the day, back in the kayak days, long time ago. Here's Taylor out of the break. That's good. A little too much room there for Morgan Taylor.
Well, he just gets to the GMAC logo right there in the painted area and just floats it in.
Now a little pressure being added by Tiffin. They're going to try to hassle Thomas More up and down the court before eventually sagging off once George crosses the timeline.
Tiffin got John Mohammed in the game to help guard Reed Jolly, a defensive stopper. But how about that? Whitebeat gets away from his man, and Kyle Ross finds him.
You can guard Jolly, you can guard Jones, but you can't forget about the other 3 guys on the floor. I know they haven't done a ton in this game, Brady, until late, but they're still valid and viable players. Here comes Taylor. He's been on the floor 30 minutes of this game. He's only been out for 2.5. Taylor going right to the rack, through contact, and one.
What a power move right in the face of the much larger Kyle Ross, and he finishes, gets the hoop and the harm. My guy right there, Morgan Taylor, showing his strength at the rack. That's some Chicago toughness right there.
Yeah. Tell you what, Brady, last week I had to deal with the Chicago toughness, meaning the loop traffic. Oy. Not fun at all. But they do produce some pretty darn good basketball players despite their traffic issues over there in the Windy City. And Morgan Taylor with 18 points on 18 shots, trying to lead his team back. They're down by 4 against the hosting Saints. We return from this timeout on the Saints Sports Network. So much. 2 seconds. 7:24 left to play, and Brady, this is a very evenly matched game between 2 teams that are very close to each other in the GMAC. As we get closer and closer to the conference tournament, these wins, they're all important, but especially into deep stretch, they get so much more important. They get magnified in their importance when you go back and look at the end of the day.
Yeah, Tiffin, the number 7 seed, Thomas More, the number 8 seed, if it would all end before today game started here today. And, of course, they will update the points ranking system. I think they do that once a week, if I'm not mistaken. But it's all a metric system based on wins and losses and points for and all kinds of other things. I mean, you can find that on the GMAC website. GreatMidwest.com, right? Is that what it is? GreatMidwest.com?
Great Midwest Sports.
I knew I was missing a word. But once you dial it in once and you put the first 3 or 4 letters, it'll take you right there. That's what I depend on.
Free throw was good from Taylor.
Again, still a 1-possession game here. Tiffin's had a hard time getting over that hump. 4 ties, but only 1 lead change, and that was in the very early going.
Here comes George. Tiffin bench, bringing a little bit of energy. Love to hear that. 4 seconds to go here for George. Bounce pass off the foot of Swaby. He's able to pick it up and continue on.
Well, and George just tested it for air the whole 30 seconds. Got to share it with your teammates. Share the sugar.
And here comes Taylor. Think he wants it? I know for sure he does. He's going right through traffic. Another foul call.
Well, he doesn't have his arm. He's not walled up completely, right? Got to go high hands to the sky. Can't lean it over. They're going to call it every time.
Taylor's 1 for 2 from the line.
So basically, these two guys are trying to go one-on-one against each other.
Yeah. With 8 other guys standing around saying, all right, man, I guess this is what we're doing today.
And you're just doing it by trying to back a guy down, right?
And they're
from the perimeter,
too.
From the perimeter, right?
Free throw is
we all want what we don't have, right? That's why rappers want to be ball players and ball players want to be rappers. Same thing. Guards want to post up. Bigs want to go shoot threes.
See Taylor looking for his 20th point of the game. We talked about how top-heavy Thomas More has been with Jones and Jolly, as that free throw is good for a lead for all scorers, 20 points. 39 points combined between Jordan and Taylor.
I mean, those are their two big guns. Without Josh Rivers and without their other injured starter, Carius Key.
Thomas Moore's lead just at 1. Here's Reed Jolly. Jolly underneath the basket. Easy for Jolly.
Well, he just takes it baseline. Nobody stops him. Uses the rim for protection and lays it up and in.
We got 6 minutes to go here in regulation. 3-point game. Here's Brown and now Lopez. Forget other players are on the floor sometimes. The way Taylor's been handling it. He'll feed into Jordan. Jordan facing a double team, and he'll be fouled.
Well, the reaching came from the backside from Wyatt Veith. I thought he got him clean. Jeremy Kendall says no, he didn't, and he calls the foul on Veith, and that's 10 fouls committed by Thomas More. That means the double bonus for the rest of the way on all common fouls.
Jordan, not the guy you want to be fouling either. About an 80% free throw shooter, one of the very best on this team. As he knocks in the first one.
Tiffin's still got a couple of fouls to give at the 5:47 mark.
So they can keep playing aggressive defensively and physical defensively, which seems to fit right into their MO, what they're trying to do. Both free throws are good. We're back to a 1-point game.
Tiffin now 14 of 17 from the free throw line. Thomas Moore's only gone to the line 3 times. When you talk about toughness, right, it's just like Coach Ray said. It's not always about if you're bigger and stronger as somebody else. It's things like getting to the free throw line, playing through the contact enough to either make the shot or get to the line. That is something Tiffin has done today in that particular case, and not Thomas More.
Dudukovic kind of flops one up. Are they going to call that a shooting foul? They are. So Dudukovic.
It's a big break there.
Bleeds water from a stone.
Well, and then that's the last foul to give for Tiffin. So Thomas More will go to the line for the 1-and-1 bonus on non-shooting fouls after this one.
Dudukovic.
As we said, this is the 4th free throw attempt of the game for Thomas More.
Takes advantage of the opportunities.
They made them all, which is good.
And Jolly was the only one who made it to the free throw line before that. He was 3 of 3.
That's 4 fouls on Raven Brown, so he'll have to take a seat. He's the only person on either team in any kind of foul trouble right now.
Dudukovic is money. So 2 shots made there from the line for the kid from Westchester, Ohio. Now here comes Taylor. Taylor's got 21 points today.
As does Jordan. 42 of the 58 points have come from the 2 Tiffin leading scorers.
Now here's Lopez. He can shoot it too, but didn't convert that time.
Yeah, he's our top 3-point shooter, and he's been kind of silent today here. Maybe that new number he's wearing, or different number, isn't to his liking.
He hit the first basket of the game for 3 that gave Tiffin their 1 lead. Hasn't made one since. Here comes Jolly. Back to Jones. Another 3. Did not bank it in. He didn't call bank there, Brady. I think that's what
well, and he couldn't have because it hits the glass low end, right? If you're going to bank one in, you got to hit it up high, right around the top of that square when you're coming from the side. He instead hit it just above the heel of the rim. That's just not a good shot. Good it's a right thought, but not a good shot.
Now here's Jordan. Jordan going through, and guess what? He's getting fouled again.
Well, Jordan might have got away with a chicken wing right there on the initial contact, but it was a play through. And then that's when Thomas More did legitimately foul him. I think that's where Justin Ray wanted the foul called on the initial contact.
So Jordan made his last two. Looking to make it a one-point game again. It's a two-point game. 61-59, so even though the scoring was very, very fast-paced early on, it has slowed down considerably. But still, watery from the line is Jordan.
Jordan averages 15 per game, Taylor with 14, and they're both above that as they are carrying their team offensively.
Timeout going to be called by Coach Justin Ray with 4:09 to go.
Can't wait for the media break. That's a tough one there. You got to burn one up there, bud. Felt like you needed to do it.
So he'll talk it over with his team, and we'll come back here after a short timeout. This is the Saints Sports Network.
I discovered my true passion here, and my shoulder hasn't been the same since. Years of pitching can really mess up your joints. I knew I needed to do something, but didn't consider St. Elizabeth until I learned they were the first to offer a world-famous shoulder replacement surgery. It meant less pain, less downtime, and less rehab. Today, thanks to St. Elizabeth, batters still fear me on the mound. I'm right here because St. Elizabeth is too.
Returning to the courts. It is a one-point ball game with 4:09 to go here in Crestview Hills, Kentucky. Nate Betts and Brady Labor with you. And Brady, let's take a look at the upcoming schedule for Thomas More. Next week, they're going to be on the road at Trevecca Nazarene, so they have to go down toward the Nashville area. And then they're home again on the 15th of February. That's going to be against Findlay, who ended up beating Thomas More up in Findlay, Ohio. Thomas More going to try to pay him back on their home court here in 12 days.
So is that another week off then?
Basically, yes.
So they had a week off coming into this game and a week coming off when your women's team is going down there during the week.
Yes.
Interesting schedule.
It is, yes. And then
I'm not calling anybody out.
And the women,
I'm just stating that's interesting.
It is interesting.
I mean, I'm not going to wear a tinfoil hat because I think that's crazy, but that really doesn't make sense unless the other surrounding metrics, I don't know where Trevecca's men are that day or whatever, but you know what I mean.
And then it gets even weirder. On the 17th of February, they go on the road to Owensboro to take on Kentucky Wesleyan, and then they have a week off, and then they play Kentucky Wesleyan back to back.
Three different times late in the season when they have a week off.
Yes, they do. And
that's interesting.
It is. And the Saints are going to have to find some way to just deal with it.
Trust me, making a schedule is literally a calculus puzzle, kind of a problem to figure out. And when you got odd number of teams, it's even more difficult.
For the women, it's not so hard because there's 14 there.
But that's what throws it off, the fact that you have one school that is, not co-ed.
Veith missed the – oh, wow. Veith ended up missing the three.
What's my man's name there? I'm glad he almost hit the back of his head. Joe, our team photographer for Thomas More. See, and that's where you position yourself to where you don't get the back of your melon smacked when you get pushed like that.
You give yourself some room.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. That's a pro move down there.
100% that's a pro move. See, a lot of people think that are in that position, well, I got to put my back up against it. No, you don't.
No, that's how you get
That's how you're going to get your dome crushed. Great job there by Joe. And I should know his name. He's around here and does great work.
Here comes Taylor trying to give the Dragons a lead. Not going to happen there, but an offensive rebound. And now from three, Swaby misses. Rebound goes again, this time to Jordan. He loses it. Thomas More takes over.
Jordan is surrounded by nothing but gray shirts, and he's the only green shirt that comes away with it. That is where rebounding is a skill, but it's also a skill that's intangible as far as wanting it more than the other guy. Jordan does a great job there of getting it.
Thomas More will take it, though, coming out unscathed somehow.
And there might have been a little bit of ball watching going on.
That's very possible, too. Feels like it's been a lot of ball watching, but for Tiffin, they've been outscoring Thomas More by 5 in the second half. Brings us to this 1-point game. 3 minutes to go. Wyatt Veith ends up saving it. Muhammad got a little greedy, and Veith misses the mid-range two.
Muhammad did a great job of getting in that passing lane. He just couldn't secure it. He read the pass coming from Reed Jolly and
nearly had an easy two.
Just couldn't complete the transaction.
Here's Taylor for the lead. Again, no good. Ross pulls away the rebound. And when it comes down to them trying to take a lead, they can't buy a basket. It's been this way for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, kind of in style. Really, Thomas More can't do anything to take advantage of that by getting points on the other end.
Here comes Reed Jolly, guarded by Swaby. Bullet pass to George. George going through. George getting fouled. Taylor, the guilty party.
Boy, that's a tough one there.
It is.
Taylor's just got to run away to prevent from any kind of words he might say to get him in any further trouble. He's going to let his coach do that. That's a great job there by George with the ball fake and the drive. And I thought Taylor was there. Clearly he fouled him on the body.
Muhammad will check out. Raven Brown comes back in. Lopez is out there with Swaby as well.
That's an offense or defense because Brown with them 4 fouls.
George will just make that second free throw. 2-point ball game.
If Thomas More or either one of these teams can make this a 2-possession game, that could be a lead that's insurmountable at this point.
The way these two teams have been playing offense
but really,
recently,
the one-possession game has been insurmountable because Tiffin can't seem to find a basket right now.
Here comes Jordan right to the basket.
Well, and then they tied it, man. Missed free throws, man. 2 things that never last. Dogs that chase cars, teams that can't make their free throws, especially down the stretch.
Absolutely. Here comes George. Thomas More trying to retake the lead. 105 seconds to go. Here comes Dudukovic. Back out to George, and a timeout going to be called by Coach Justin Ray. On to talk things over. 15 seconds on the timer. When we return, it's a tie ball game. Doesn't get much better than this. This is a great Midwest digital network.
I love seeing these little faces for breakfast, and I want to have as many mornings like this as I can. So when we found cancer, I looked for the most advanced, innovative care anywhere. And I found it right here at the St. Elizabeth Cancer Center, where my screening, diagnosis, and treatment were tailored to me. Having a leading national cancer center so close to home meant I could keep my family even closer. I'm right here because St. Elizabeth is too.
101 seconds to the good, 1 minute 41 on the game clock, 62-62. Thomas More with 1 timeout left, and Tiffin still with 2. Brady, we expected this to be a good old-fashioned good one, and we are getting exactly that.
Well, it's going to go down to the line, that's for sure, down to the wire. And I'll tell you what, both these teams really having a hard time getting clutch baskets, and in this last 141, it's who is going to execute better on the offensive end. I feel like it's going to end up coming away with the win. Because you can talk about defense all you want, but just like Coach Ray said, you got to score more points than them.
Talking about three-point shooting. 1 for their last 12 are the Tiffin Dragons. Some people would say they're due. I'm sure the Tiffin faithful tuning in are hoping that is the case.
They've abandoned the three-point attempts, right? They've only they've only attempted 3 shots in the second half after going 2 for 11 in the first half. So they've gotten away from an apparent weakness.
Thomas More has been much better, though.
Well, they shot very well in the first half, and then it's just kind of fallen off here in the second from the three-point line.
They made 1 of their last 9. Dudukovic, the one who hit it. They'll give it off to Jolly, now George. George with some space, has to readjust and can't get the roll. Second try doesn't go from Jolly, and Swaby pulls it down.
George gets his man off the ground and just can't finish, and then Jolly with a tip-in attempt, and I know those were difficult attempts on both ends, but got to make a play.
Kyle Ross versus Wesley Jordan. Jordan spinning through with the left hand, no good. Kyle Ross gets the rebound. 1 minute to play.
You don't have to be in a hurry here if Thomas More. You just have to execute.
So close has Tiffin been.
Wanting to bleed some clock here, get to the end of the timer. They're not going, anything fancy, 2-for-1s or anything like that. They're just trying to score the ball.
10 seconds to shoot. Jolly's got it. Guarded tightly by Swaby. Jump ball coming. And it should be a turnover on Thomas More.
Well,
Tiffin will take it over.
Why are you crossing over like that?
Taylor making the right decision to dive at the basketball. Aggressive
just
move.
Too casual with the basketball. You got to protect it as if it's your firstborn or your secondborn or your third or fourth or fifthborn.
Thomas More.
Can't just cross it over in front of 2 guys, Nate.
You dangle that in front of the big cats, right? They're going to go take it. That's exactly what Taylor did. And Thomas More now going to have to defend with 39 seconds left.
And that's the 13th turnover of the night for Thomas More. So on the season, what do they average turnover-wise? I'm looking for it here. They usually only give it up 8.5 times. I mean, and credit Tiffin's defense for that. But that there, unacceptable.
In a big moment.
Huge moment.
Can't have it. And it's not like one person's been just turning it over.
Oh, no. That was Reed Jolly's mistake right there, but he has not been alone.
4 different Saints have multiple turnovers. Ross, Dudukovic, Jones, and Jolly all have at least 2. Jolly there just gave up his 3rd. Now, also, Jolly does have the ball in his hand. Not quite on every offensive possession, but almost. But it doesn't matter at this point. Thomas More needs a stop.
That is not the time or situation that you crossover dribble with 2 guys guarding you. In any circumstance, especially in that one.
So the Saints are going to have to try to get a stop here on their end. And then maybe if they can, hold for the last shot, try to take a lead, and send Tiffin home.
But you got to get a stop here, right? There's 9 seconds difference between the timer and the game clock. He's got to get a stop, man.
See if Thomas More can do it. They've been pretty good at it when Tiffin's been able to tie the ball game up.
And if you're Tiffin, you got to get a bucket and a stop.
Tiffin has not had a lead again since the 1936 mark in the first half. It's been nearly the entire game.
What was it, 2-0 their only lead?
3-0 on a 3 from Lopez.
That's right.
Lopez is out there guarded by Dudukovic on the low post. Keep an eye out for him. He'll have it now. 12 on the timer. Lopez feeding in to guess who?
Got it to their dude.
Wesley Jordan's got it. Jordan bounces to Taylor. The fadeaway for the lead. It's good. 10 seconds. Make it 11 seconds to go.
Plenty of time. They are not going to call timeout. They are.
Timeout call.
He wanted George to get across the timeline, and then he asked for his timeout. Plenty of time here. It'll be interesting to see whether you go for a 3 here to go for the win, or if you go for a 2 and play for overtime.
Huge clutch shot from Morgan Taylor, who's been...
Well, and Wesley Jordan found him while he being double-teamed there. I mean, great play there drawn up out of the timeout by the head coach of the Dragons, Tom Church. And now it's Justin Ray's turn to figure out a counter.
Let's see if the Saints can march to overtime, come away with a win. They're going to go home losers? I don't know. We'll wait and see. The next 7 and
wouldn't that be something, though, if Tiffin only leads 2 times in the game, and that's on the first and last possession?
That would be...
that's winning basketball right there.
That is. It really doesn't matter. It's like...
and it's a gut punch for the team that loses that way, but still, Thomas More has a lot to say about that.
We'll see.
And again, overtime can be an option.
See what Ray draws up. On the floor for the Saints, Jones, Ross, Jolly, Dudukovic, and Casey George is the trigger man. Taylor will defend the ball.
Could be inbounded from the hash mark there in front of the Thomas More bench.
Looking for Reed Jolly. Back to Dudukovic. Dudukovic will be fouled from three-point land. He will go to the line for not 1, not 2, but 3 free throws to either tie it or potentially take a lead.
I felt like he was trying to get fouled there because if he waits another split second, the defenders fly by, and he's got a clean look with plenty of time. So I don't know if he was trying to get fouled or if he just got a little itchy on that trigger finger and just went for it. But this is going to be the 3 biggest free throw attempts of young Nathan Dudukovic's career.
Dudukovic at the free throw line today, 2 for 2 on the year, 76% shooter. Free throw coming, money in the bank. 1 point away from tying it up, 2 from taking a lead, 5.2 seconds remain. We'll see a substitution probably come in for Tiffin here.
And you can't make it till after the free throw is attempted. They just pulled a guy off the scorer's table.
Free throw, no good from Dudukovic.
Boy, that rattled all the way in and out. They had DJ Gooden at the scorer's table and pulled him back. Now, you make or miss, you still got to play 5.2 more seconds. You can't focus either way here. You got to remember the task at hand.
Dudukovic for the tie. That's good.
All right.
Timeout going to be called. Veith will come in, and I would imagine Gooden will come in for Tiffin. Timeout on the floor. 5.2 seconds left. 64 all.
It's only a 30-second timeout, the last one they had available. So we should keep it right here. And now what does Tiffin do? They've got plenty of time to work with. 5.2. If you're Thomas More, what do you do here? Do you press? Do you guard the inbounder? Got to keep people in front of you, I would think. You can't give up a home run pass and get an easy layup, right? But you also can't give up a three-point shot because all those things are in the arsenal as far as Tiffin goes.
Make them run, right? Make them burn something. Make them have a miracle shot at the end.
Make them use time. You got to make it difficult for them to get across the timeline. You can't give up a home run pass. And if you do, you got to find your man again because they're going to have a quick shot there.
And for the love of St. Thomas More, do not foul. We'll see what happens. 5.2 seconds.
At this point, no. At this point, you do not foul.
Dragons,
you're not up by 3.
Got to go.
Or 1 or 2.
The length of the floor. And don't even accidentally foul.
So 3 Thomas More defenders in the front court here. And then you get the 2 guys in the safety position. It's going to be Taylor.
Taylor with 2 seconds. Taylor for the win. Got it off. Just a bit short. And we're going to overtime.
Well, that's a contested shot. Great job there by the Thomas More defense, and you get to play 5 more minutes.
So we will step away, catch our breath, and when we come back, we've got more for you after this on the Saints Sports Network.
1, 2, 3, 4.
What's up, GMAC fans? I'm Katie Gahuli, host of the Talkin' GMAC podcast. We hope you'll join us each week for all things GMAC, from interviews with current and former student athletes to headlines and highlights from around the league. Find the Talkin' GMAC podcast on the Great Midwest Digital Network or wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, this game was so good. The 2 teams said, hey, you know what, let's put on a show for another 5 minutes.
Free basketball in Crestview Hills, Kentucky.
Thomas More defensively holding on.
Just think if Dudukovic could have made all 3 of those free throws, man. But, I mean, he got you to that point, man.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, that rattled all the way through, and out. And, good grief. But still, you at least got yourself in a position to tie and play on.
So the Saints and the Dragons going after him. Thomas More going to send out Reed Jolly, Casey George, Kyle Ross, Wyatt Veith, and Jacob Jones.
Keep in mind, the only real foul trouble for either team is Raven Brown. He's got 4 of them.
He's out there right now.
And he is out there right now. No one else has more than 3 for either team.
Brown's on the floor with Swaby, Jordan, Lopez, and Taylor. And Tiffin will have the ball first.
Got to find a way to get Jordan a touch here. He's been able to get to the free throw line 11 times today, making 9 of them.
Here's Lopez. Lopez, a step back 2. No good. Jacob Jones will handle it.
To me, it's either Jordan or it's Taylor for Tiffin. And I'm sure Coach Church probably figures the same thing.
Here comes Jolly. Quick pass to Veith. Veith takes a little look at the defender and easily puts it in.
Somebody lost their man, and Jordan was so confused he couldn't even try to guard it. Of course, I don't think he was trying to commit a foul either.
Now here comes Lopez. Lopez off to Brown. And now Swaby. He'll get it into Jordan. Jordan facing a little double team action and will throw it nearly away. It goes off of Casey George. 7 seconds to shoot for the Dragons.
Not sure about that. Jordan was kind of left out on an island there.
Here comes Taylor giving it into Jordan, wide open, and he just flat missed it. Almost too open there, maybe, Brady.
He certainly was.
Now Jacob Jones.
Again, a 2-possession game could be a lead that's insurmountable in this one, and he's not going to get it there, but he'll have to go to the line.
So Jacob Jones looking for his first free throw of the game, and oh man, that's a 5th foul on Raven Brown. And so he will head to the bench. I believe Coach Church the 45 seconds, is that what they give him to sub out the player?
Well, I think they already had Gooden ready to come in on the offense-defensive situation, but Raven Brown, the first person to head to the Dairy Queen early today, being disqualified in this one after scoring 5 points and grabbing 3 rebounds.
Jacob Jones hits the first free throw. 64% free throw shooter on the year. Trying to put Thomas More up by 2 scores. He does.
That 14 points matches the number on his back for JJ. Go with 5 rebounds and 2 assists in this one.
Taylor working on the right side against Jacob Jones. And a blocking foul going to be called. JJ hits the deck. Taylor will end up going back to the free throw line for 2.
Right. Well, I mean, he's got to sit down, right? But you got to be able to have your balance. And Jones didn't have that. That's exactly what Coach Ray's saying. Of course, he's going to defend his player by saying, hey, man, what do you want him to do? He's in a stance. He's sitting down guarding people.
Not so easy. It's not so black and white.
Never is.
Exiting will be Gooden. Entering will be Muhammad for the Dragons. I really like the physicality and just the...
Well, I mean, Coach Ray said in the pregame, this is an old team for Tiffin, right? They got a bunch of seniors, 5th-year guys, grad transfers. I mean, this is an older group, man. Kind of like what you would see in a Mid-South Conference roster,
that's
right?
What it reminds me of. A lot of Cumberland, Tennessee is what it kind of reminds me of. A team that's just gritty, a bunch of dogs on their team. Thomas Moore's got some too, though, and they lead it by 3. Jacob Jones will have it. JJ looking to dish it off. He'll find Jolly, who spins away from his defender, misses, and the rebound goes to Taylor.
Keep in mind, they've got 2 guys that haven't played for him in over a month, Josh Rivers and the other one, Kieris King.
That is a foul going to be called against Jordan for going over the back on the rebound after the missed 3 by Taylor. Coach Church beside himself.
Certainly is, but Rivers and Key, both double-figure scorers for this team, no longer with them due to injury, and so... you got to figure out, another path, right? And they've just said, okay, we're just going to call on our 2 bell cows, right? Jordan and Taylor.
So we are going to, I believe, have free throws coming up, but I believe the officials want to go to the monitor and take a look at something. Not sure what it's about.
We're not at the scores table for full disclosure, or else we'd at least be able to, one of us could get in there and hear what's going on. And, I mean, this could be anything from making sure the correct person has the foul called on them, the correct shooter goes to the line, and it looks like they wanted to make sure they had the correct person called for the foul, and in this case, it was Wesley Jordan, which is his 3rd.
So nothing too crazy
I
yet.
mean, you're in overtime. Those things are important. They're important all the time, right? I'm not trying to discount that, but especially in this situation here.
Jordan with 25 points and 5 rebounds.
So both teams
hits the free throw.
Are in the double bonus, right? They've each reached the 10 foul plateau, and the possession arrow favors Thomas More, with each team getting an extra timeout. It's the only one each of them have going to the overtime.
So 2:50 to go. Thomas More leads it by 5, but not out of the woods yet. See if the Dragons have any fuel remaining. Here comes Jordan, backing down his opponent, having to kick it out. Swaby from 3. Oh my, that's way off. Brady, that was about a foot short, it looked like.
Well, he's wide open for a reason, right? Somebody missed the switch. It didn't matter. Swaby had it slip out of his hand, and then when Muhammad tried to save it, he had actually stepped out of bounds as he leaped in the air to make the save. So by him touching it, it was going to be out of bounds, so it didn't really matter about the effort at all.
Largest lead of the game for Thomas More is 7. The basket can tie or increase that. That was all the way back, and 4 minutes left in the first half.
Thomas More trying to bleed as much clock as possible.
There's George from the elbow. Misses off the front of the rim.
I get that, but you got to run your offense, right? You can't just stand there and dribble and try to bleed clock that way. Run your stuff. Continue to run your offense. And Taylor gets the layup, and now looks like Tom Church is going to call his overtime timeout right here to try to figure out what the strategy is here as you've now cut it to 3. Obviously, he does that to set his defense up and whatever strategy he can have.
That's 26 points for Taylor. Let's recap kind of how this game has gone.
Yeah, that's a new career high for Taylor, by the way.
He is balled out today for sure. I'm sure his family back home in Chicago and anywhere else that's tuning in, I'm sure they're very pleased.
And
with
when
the
I
way
say
that
career
he's
high, I mean as a Tiffin Dragon.
Sure. And he has been great along with his teammate Jordan. The two of them combined for 51 of the 67 points that the Dragons have. And then on the side for Thomas More, Reed Jolly, Nathan Dudukovic, both with 17. Jacob Jones has 14.
Yeah, well, Taylor hasn't been all that efficient, right? I mean, he's attempted 24 shots to get those 26 points, but all of them have been in the 2-point area, and he's got to the line and made 4 out of the 6. But at this point, I think Tiffin did the right thing by abandoning the 3-point shot. It wasn't going in the first half. They were 2 for 11 in the first half from the 3-point line and have now shot in the second half and overtime combined 5 times out there. And 2 of them were just bad misses here in overtime.
42 points in the paint for Tiffin compared to 34 for Thomas More. We've got under 2 minutes to go.
Now here's the press. You got Mohammed at the point of the press here as they're going 1-2-2.
Jolly tries to break it.
Almost dribbled into that trap there, and then Jones is the one who gets it across. And now Tiffin will fall back in its normal man-to-man.
Good job by Jolly not to take the cheese. We'll have Ross now down on the baseline. And 10 seconds for Reed Jolly. Guarded by Taylor. Jolly trying to cross him up. Spin move, goes up and can't get it to fall. Rebound pulled in from Taylor. Off and running is Lopez. In transition, it's good. 1-point game.
Well, he tried to get a foul, didn't get it. As Jones was able to defend without fouling, gives up the bucket, but still Thomas More with a 1-point lead here. Got to get a bucket here if you're Thomas More.
Here's George. 1 minute to the wire. Here comes JJ. Gives in to Reed Jolly. 5 seconds. Bullet pass. Veith looks off the
Veith
3.
Got away with a walk there.
3 seconds. It's Ross underneath. It's good. Thomas More by 3.
Good job there by Thomas More. Now Tiffin, again, they shouldn't have any timeouts left. They've got 1 showing on the board. They just used 1. Interesting to see if Tiffin goes for a 2 or a 3 here. Down by 3.
Here's Taylor. Morgan Taylor, the step back for the tie. No good. Kyle Ross rips it away. Excellent effort by Ross. And a game move ends up pulling it down and giving Thomas More the ball back.
Great job by Kyle Ross, showing the toughness there to get between 2 green jerseys and take it away. And Thomas More is a free throw away, a made free throw away from getting closer to that win that they have so desperately are looking for.
See what Kyle Ross can do. About a 60% shooter from the free throw line. 1 of 2 will make it very difficult for Tiffin. Still not over yet. Shots up, shots in. 4 points for Thomas More.
It's a 2-point game no matter, or 2-possession game no matter what, but you really want to put this free throw in right here.
Make it even more difficult, right? Ross. Icy makes another one. Wyatt Veith will head to the bench. Nathan Dudukovic is back in. Game on. Thomas More by 5. Tiffin still with how quick and explosive they can be. They ain't out of this yet. They'll roll the ball up. It'll be Taylor. The clock starts ticking. Here's Taylor, burning too much time. Taylor with the left hand, needs it, didn't get it. Second try from Muhammad, no good. And it's Jolly who comes away with it.
They're going to foul him.
And they will foul him.
Waited way too long.
Way too long with 7 seconds left. Thomas More, 2 free throws away from Reilly, putting this one out of reach.
Well, the crowd's starting to feel it right now, and can't say Thomas More is out of the woods yet as far as the season goes, but this is a nice step in the right direction.
Here comes Jolly. Free throw. You bet. Reed Jolly on a day where he was honored for his 2,000th point scored. Very well could come in an overtime win over a very scrappy and tough Tiffin team. It's good. Reed Jolly just about puts this one away. Thomas More ties their largest lead of the day. 7 seconds left, 7-point game.
Thomas More, you just can't foul anybody, right? It's a 3-possession game.
Nothing stupid.
Let them get their bucket and move it on, right?
Now here comes Swaby. 4 seconds left. 3 coming. It's good off the banking board.
A little bit too little, too late there.
It absolutely was. A game effort indeed by the Dragons, but the Saints were too much, and the Saints go marching, slaying the Dragons of Tiffin, 76-72 in an overtime thriller.
Impressive, gutty performance by Thomas More. It certainly was nothing that you would call pretty, but sometimes that's not the objective. In fact, every time it's not the objective. You just got to come away with a dub, and Thomas More was able to find a way, avoiding a second 3-game losing streak of the season.
Thomas More led by Reed Jolly with 19 points. Also again to Dukovic with 17 and George with 14. Able to hold off Taylor and Jordan. Morgan Taylor 26 for him, and Wesley Jordan 25. Valiant indeed from Tiffin, but ultimately they come up just a bit shy of winning their 7th game in GMAC play. So now Tiffin 6-5 in the conference, and Thomas More 8-6. Again, Thomas More going to go on the road next to take on Trevecca Nazarene, and then they are back home again on the 15th to take on the Findlay Oilers. It should be a fun one, Brady. Overall, Thomas More moving in the right direction, it seems.
Well, that was a much-needed win, right? The psyche of the program right now has been shaky at best, and, especially with a week. It's better to have a week off after a win than a loss because you already lived through that, right? Just think if you had to have another week off, you lose that game, especially in overtime. So, and you got to defend your home court. I mean, that's what it all boils down to. When it comes to conference play, you have to win at home and take your chances on the road. Thomas More was able to get it done here tonight.
Thomas More will take their chance on the road next week. We'll see when they come back here on the Saints Sports Network. For our producer Santiago, my color man Brady Labor, my name is Nate Metz. This has been a production of the Great Midwest Digital Network. This broadcast or any broadcast appearing on this network cannot be reproduced or redistributed without the express written consent of the Great Midwest. Saints sweep the day against Tiffin. Thomas More again wins this one by a score of 76-72. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Good night.